Number 1, remind yourself why are you looking at me?
I'm listening.
But I'm not talking to you.
I'm listening. I'm interested.
Welcome back to the video. In this video, we're going to give you 3 things that are vital to our lives today that we did not learn as pre-meds in the textbook, but that are seriously essential to our daily life. We think these 3 tips will be super valuable to you because we are the happiest we've ever been throughout college or any time in our life. A quick disclaimer for every 3 bullet points that we have, Mari's and I are extremely similar, but they're a little different because we did have different experiences in undergrad.
Number 1, be real with yourself. It is so easy to compare yourself to your peers, to your classmates, especially when you're in a rigorous academic environment like I was.
It was like a small liberal arts school that's known for pre-med students.
Yeah, so it's very easy to compare yourself to others. And for me, as a person who deals with anxiety, you know, the way that kind of hurt me, hindered me, because it was really easy for me to put things in the back burner. I was trying to do everything else my peers were doing, and in my head I would just tell myself, like, it'll work out, it'll be okay. But the only problem with that is you can't really take a step forward toward your goals if you don't know where to start. You don't realistically know where you're starting. Number 2 is to take care of yourself. You know, if you were like me coming into college, you were really good at spreading yourself out very thin without taking care of your mental health, your physical health, whatever. What works for me, it's working out and eating well. It's a way for me to cope and channel my stress and anxiety in a physical way that calms me down, that makes me feel like everything will be okay. So thankfully, after I met Austin, you know, he really introduced me to weightlifting, and he also introduced me to eating not just for fun.
Eat to live, don't live to eat.
What that means for me is paying attention to how food makes me feel. And with that, I mean my mental energy. You know, my first 3 years of college, I was all about throwing as much caffeine as I can at myself to keep me awake. But it's not really about that. It's also about the food you put in. And so for me, that's macro counting, balancing my carbs, fats, and protein.
It's not all about the energy. It's not all about
Red Bull, even though I'm guilty.
Adderall, anything. It's like there's so much more to life, and that is a horrible track to go down. It's true.
And number 3 is being okay with uncertainty. More often than not, things don't go according to plan, especially when you are trying to plan out years in advance. So being pre-med, you know, you go into college and you're like, after 4 years, I'm going straight into medical school, and I'm going to go to residency, and it's going to be great. That didn't happen to me. That didn't happen to him. And the main thing that is really crucial to just think about and remember is that if you're truly passionate about something, you will do whatever you can to make it happen. I don't really know where I'm going to be in the next year or so, next 2 years, but at the end of the day, I know that I'm passionate. But I'm going to keep going until I can't anymore. And so hopefully it leads to med school, but if not, it'll be okay because I know I'm going to be doing something that I'm passionate about.
Number 1, remind yourself why you are pre-med weekly. What I mean by this is that you can become so caught up in getting grades and doing well in classes and doing the pre-med grind that you kind of forget why you're there in the first place. I do this by journaling and shadowing once a week, or volunteering at least once a week in the clinic. Yeah, these are things that you're supposed to be doing as a pre-med, but they really do, and they should motivate you and keep you on the grind to tell you why you're studying day in and day out. You want to keep your passion and your focus at the top of your brain every day. This also becomes extremely valuable when you start applying to medical school. When it becomes time to write the personal statement, you'll be so reflective on your life that it'll come a lot easier to you, and the writing will become a lot easier too. Number 2, don't do things that you don't want to do. By this, I mean don't get involved in every extracurricular that calls your name. Sit down with yourself figure out your interest, and only do those things that interest you. If you like playing video games, join a video game club. Play video games. Like, I'm serious. Play video games. I was interested in lifting, but I didn't take that anywhere in college. I guess I looking back on it, maybe I could have competed in some like powerlifting tournaments, because that was like really important to me and I really enjoyed that. But I did a lot of things that I didn't want to do because I thought it would look good for medical school. Like, I joined this Relay for Life executive board team, which there's nothing wrong with Relay for Life, but I wasn't passionate about it at all. I did it freshman year because I thought I had to get involved with anything medical, any organization on campus that had an open position. I thought I had to get on with. Number 3, and probably the most important tip to wrap up, is know that your life has meaning without pre-med. Know that you are a person with or without straight A's, with or without getting into medical school. You are an extremely important person and very talented, even if you make a B, even if you fail a test, your life still has value. You still are the same person that you've been. You still are good at your crafts. And geez, just don't let this career form your life. Like, just figure out yourself without pre-med and know that there's that layer underneath too that's not pre-med. Your whole identity doesn't have to be pre-med or anything. Like, the biggest thing for me was finding Mar and this relationship, developing something that's totally not related to, like, being in this relationship doesn't help me get into medical school. It is something
you can't put it on your AMCAS.
You can't put this on your resume. Having this relationship, it keeps me grounded in everything that I do. And it reminds me that everything's going to be okay if I don't make it. So thank you.
Awesome.
So if you didn't notice, all 3 of these bullet points center around and encompass the main theme that I would tell anyone in 1 word, 2 words: be reflective. Develop a sense of who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, being passionate, and growing as an individual. And I just can't stress how important that would have been to me as a young Austin going throughout undergrad. I would have been so much more considerate of others. I would have been so much more compassionate. And I think in the end it'll help me be a better doctor. But that's not why I'm doing it. It's like something that I learned from failing at it.
And at the end of the day, people always say you have to stand out, like, you have to be unique. But to be completely honest, the only way you're going to achieve that quality of uniqueness is by being yourself, being comfortable with yourself. And so with that, you're important.
These are definitely things you can't learn in textbooks. We want to hear from you guys. If there's any pre-meds out there that are in the midst of undergrad doing pre-med, or even graduate students that are watching this video, is there anything that you learned that was extremely helpful, or that you think would be extremely helpful for incoming freshmen to know going throughout their pre-med studies?